Hello everyone, welcome back to Fanblade. I am still in the studio for a few more weeks, but I have an exciting announcement. I've made another album. Here it is. And it's an actual album. It's actually on vinyl. This is a real record. I never thought this was going to happen, but it has. I will be talking a lot about this a bit more later, but in the meantime, let's get down to business. I get really uncomfortable talking about money. Even when I'm doing a job for someone and I'm going to, quote for it, I always tend to undersell myself. I have a mental block about saying my time is worth $50 an hour. This job is going to take me 10 hours. Therefore, I'm going to charge them $500. I always just freak out at that moment, and I can't seem to get myself to ask for what I think I'm worth. I always will do that job for $200 or less. I mean, I've done string changes and setups for people for a packet of chocolate biscuits. That's not how you run a business. Not that I'm particularly business-minded, and I'm not even really in it for the money anyway. I'm motivated by the idea that I can make a musical instrument for the purpose of making music, or I can help somebody else with their instrument so that they can make music. That's the entire point of this. I mean, if I wanted to make a ton of money, then I wouldn't be a musician. I think we can all agree it's not a smart career move. So what am I getting at here? So let me just start by reassuring everyone, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not stopping doing this. I'm not making a video complaining about copyright. I'm not bitching about the state of the world. That's not what we're doing. What I'm trying to work through is the idea that every bass guitar that I build costs me somewhere between $400 and $500. And, if you want the hardware and the finishing supplies, the wood and the frets and, tool maintenance, all that stuff, it all costs money. I've been paying for it out of a combination of gig money and my day job as well, and it was never meant to be like that. It was sort of meant to be the gig money would cover what I do in the garage, and that would just be a nice hobby that kind of paid for itself. That's what I was hoping for, but the actual truth is that the day job has been subsidizing a lot of what goes on here, and that's just not really sustainable. I mean, the bald truth of it is that I need to start saving for my retirement. At the moment, all my spare income goes into everything that happens here, and that's not what you would call a sound investment portfolio. All I've really got to fall back on at the moment is a bunch of bass guitars and a leaky garage. Yeah, it's not great. So what I need is to find a way to make all of this stuff pay for itself. And there are a few options if we sort of go through them. The first, and probably the most obvious one, is build basses and sell them. I mean, that's a bit of a no-brainer, and that has always been the plan as well, is that I would eventually bring some of these things to market. I have 3 good designs. They are well-tested, well-thought-out, prototyped, and I play them all on stage regularly, the mini bass, the standard, and the upright. These are all good things that I can build. Very happy to bring them to market. The question is, how much am I going to charge for them? And this is where I start to get super uncomfortable with the way some of these figures stack up, because if I'm going to charge $50 an hour for my work, and I think that's reasonable, I think I'm worth that, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to charge $4,000 for a standard, like $6,000 for an upright, and I just don't see anybody paying that much. I've run the maths on it, and any way you slice it, I would probably have to halve those prices to be at a realistic price point for most people to accept. And I've been saying this for ages. The problem with this business model is that you're trying to get money out of musicians. We don't have any. Now, add to all of that the fact that I'm in New Zealand, and according to YouTube's data that they give me, over 50% of my audience is in the USA. So there's a lot of shipping costs there. You've got the international, the tariff debacle. less said about that, the better. But I just feel that. Well, put it this way, I don't feel particularly optimistic about being able to turn Fanblade bases into a full-time gig. But if I can, at the very least, get it to pay for itself, then I get to keep on doing it. Otherwise, I will have to stop. And I don't enjoy saying that. I don't think anybody wants that. So let's look at a few of the other options here. So sponsorships and partnerships. Now, I'm still affiliated with Geica, and I'm happy to promote their excellent products. They will give me a discount on hardware that I buy, and you can also get a discount if you use the code Fanblade at checkout to get 10% off. And of course, I get a little bit of commission from that, but it's a little bit. It's not very much. I also get the AdSense revenue from YouTube, but I mean, that's less than $100 a month, and when I don't make a video for 3 months, of course, that dwindles to next to nothing. I was hoping to do a load of live streams over the break, and I did manage to do one really good one with sort of minimal fuss. And yes, I have figured out what happened to the chat window. Let's just call it user error. Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was actually really disappointed about that because I was looking forward to reading your comments in real time. Like in many ways, I am still looking forward to reading your comments in real time. I do want to do more live streams. Unfortunately, the computer that I did that with has blown up. It's completely fried. It's dead. I've got a replacement computer, sort of this one just behind the camera there. I'm not actually filming with that thing. I'm filming on a GoPro because that computer is so gutless. It will do a live stream at 2 frames per second. That's not watchable. So I really need to spend some money in just like getting a powerhouse of a computer. So there I am, already spending more money before I've even got to a sound solution for making any. To say nothing of my expenditure on bass strings. I mean, this is not a profitable enterprise. So another option is that I could start selling merch. I don't really know what that would look like or how to go about it. And I'd love to get some hats and t-shirts made with my catchphrase. If I had a catchphrase. I mean, comment below if I've said anything over the years that sort of stuck in your brain, or if you've got any ideas for cool like artwork or hats, shirts, stickers, pencil cases, lunchboxes, pillowcases, tea towels. Just comment down below and we'll see if we can come up with something that's kind of appealing somehow. But the one thing that I do have for sale right now is the album on vinyl. I'm actually really, really proud of this. Now, I saw an ad for a company called Elastic Stage, and what they do is very similar to Bandcamp, whereby an independent musician uploads their music, and whereas Bandcamp will sell a digital download, Elastic Stage actually make physical media. They make a physical record. They've worked out how to do one-off vinyl on demand, which is a thing that no other company has ever done. This is absolutely a game changer. I read about their stuff. I thought, that looks too good to be true. But I was intrigued enough to send some stuff in. And I've got hundreds of tracks I could have chosen from, but I thought, well, if it is true, then I want my first ever record to be really good. So I recorded this one from scratch. And it's pretty good. And Elastic Stage turned out to be every bit as good as I'd hoped. The website is just painless to use. The vinyl sounds excellent, which was what I was really worried about. I thought, I don't know how they're doing this, and I don't know if I trusted their process, and I just didn't know what was going to happen. But I have compared this record with the master that I sent them, and they're damn near identical. I mean, have a listen. And yes, you can support this channel by buying this record. There's a link in the description. If you don't have a record player, then you can either buy the CD, or it's also available on streaming, or the last option that I have to try and make any of this pay for itself is that I have, drumroll please, I have opened up memberships for this channel. So if you are so inclined, you can contribute $5 US a month into the String Fund. And for that money, what you get is a couple of extra videos a month. I'm hoping to do some live streams in there. But the first video that's gone up is the complete vinyl playthrough. I've just played through the record, both sides. I've flipped it over in the middle. The full vinyl experience. There will be lots of other videos coming, probably in a format something like this, kind of a Q&A thing. I'd really like to do more live streams, but again, I need to get a new computer for that. In fact, what would be ideal? Like, in an ideal world, I would sell 200 copies of the record. That would buy me a supercomputer, and then I could run all the live streams I want. And what I'd love to do would be to have one live stream going for, sort of, if I can get my head around the international time zones, do one live stream at a time that's great for US viewers, and then 2 weeks later do another one that's great for UK viewers. I'm not so worried about doing things that's in a good time zone for me. Like, no one in New Zealand watches me. Nobody here cares what I do. Honestly, this is the truth. According to the YouTube viewer data, I have more fans in Norway than I do in New Zealand. So that's a few options, and some of them may be more lucrative than others, but they're all going to help me carry on doing this. There is one last option, which is going to be quite a lot of work, but it's a thought that popped into my head, and it hasn't gone away. It keeps on coming back, and that is that if the goal that I have is to have a full-time job working with musical instruments in a technical manner, then I might try and become a piano tuner. I think I'd be good at it. I wouldn't be relying on bass guitar sales to make a living. I mean, I would still keep on building bass guitars. I may only sell 3 of them a year. But if, as a piano tuner, I could, build up my clientele to where I was tuning 15 pianos a week, then, I'd be making more money than I am now doing all of this. And I'd be enjoying myself working with musical instruments, and I think my current skill set is a pretty good place to start. Obviously, there's a lot of training that you need to go through to get to a professional level. There are schools that will assist you with that. Again, that costs money. Please buy my album. I am looking at a very real possibility that in 3 or 4 years I could be a full-time piano technician. The more I have that thought, the bigger it gets. But that about wraps it up. I'd love to hear your thoughts about all of this. I'd love to hear your great merch ideas. I'd love for somebody of you to sign up for the memberships and just throw a few bucks into the String Fund. I mean, that just goes a very, very, very long way to making this thing sustainable. And I will be back in a couple of weeks where we will be resuming the headless bass build. Then I'm going to try and make a few instruments for sale on the free market, and we'll see what the free market has to say about whether or not this thing's going to be viable. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you for signing up to be a member, and I will see you really soon. Cheers.